everybody, TW here. I'm casting some of these molds. You know I couldn't wait. I really couldn't. I finished cleaning up the last one and I sprayed it out with brake cleaner, and I ran out here and I started up the pot, put the molds on the hot plate, and I started getting ready to cast. I'm not going to cast a bunch, and I can't really show you any of the casting because YouTube doesn't let us. But I've got all these molds full, and I'll show you each one here really quick, and then I'll go back on the bench and we'll do a little more in-depth. We'll weigh them and check them all out. So this first one here is, let's get a better light here. Let me put my glasses on. And this one here is a 358/416. And now these are just first cast, so they could be, you know, they could be culls, they could be no good. But I'll give you a good close-up here. Okay, here's the mold. I think you can read it, 358/416. And here's the bullet. Let me see if I can zoom you a little bit without shaking you up. Sorry about that. You're on a hanging. Is that focused? That's the bullet. So it's a flat point, not a regular round nose. It is a flat point. And it looks like there's 2 lube grooves and there is no crimp groove. But of course you could crimp in that top groove, but there is a driving band. So that's the 358/416. And the second one here I'm going to show you is the 358/75. Okay. And that's this big, I'm calling it a 200 grain, but I really don't know because I haven't weighed it. I'm just guesstimating. But it is a bevel-based bullet. Now, we're going to have to try this because I haven't had the best luck with bevel bases and pressure, but I'm thinking back now. My 375 bullet for my 375 Winchester from Lee is 250 grains and it's bevel-based. And that shoots okay. So, Papa's Place asked if this would be good in the Legend, and you know, he might be onto something. We'll have to try it and see. But like I said, we're going to bring it in and we're going to weigh these out and see what we get. And of course, you know, I had to do the 358/395. This is the hollow base wad cutter. And again, these are just first drops out of the mold, so they're going to be wrinkly. They're not going to be ideal. But there's our hollow base. It's a pretty long bullet, and there's the button nose. I don't know if I can zoom in anymore. Oh yeah. Sorry for the wiggles. Again, you're on a hanging. So this has got one crimp groove up at the top, so that little bitty band of lead is what's going to be sticking out, and then the button, of course. So you got 1, 2, 3 lube grooves, so it's got plenty of lube. Again, this is a cull. You can see all the troubles with the mold. It's not completely filled out, but it's not awful. It's shootable, but it's not perfect. But I wanted to see, you know, the corrosion in the mold. This one had a little bit of corrosion by that top driving band, and I wanted to see just how bad it was going to be. And the spear cut is the whole nose. So that's that one. And then the last one is this 2-cavity 344, 360, 344 mold. Now I have the same thing. Again, this is just first drop, so there's some culls. You see the wrinkles in that one, but it's a type 3. Sorry for that. It's a type 3 wad cutter. So the whole nose is supposed to stick out. Let me see if I can see if one of these might be a prettier bullet. Again, I'm not really worried about it. The nose isn't filled out properly. There's a seam there a little bit. The base is not great. It's flat. But again, we're just first bullets out of the mold. So this will get us to measure them, weigh them, tell us what this alloy is. Now I added pure lead to this alloy, soft. And it was, I'm going to say it was probably number 2. So that ought to drop it down to maybe 12 BHN range. So we'll get an idea when we get down to the bench and start weighing it. So there we go. I wish I could show you more, but I don't even want to crack these molds open because I don't want to have another strike on the channel. So there you go. You can see what I've done. This, you know, this is out of this, this is out of this, this is out of this. And I'm only going to cast a little bit more. I want to get maybe a dozen bullets just to have enough to test them. I mean, to measure them and weigh them and you know, do some numbers on them. And we'll do an on the bench thing, kind of like Walter does. I don't use the charts that Walter does. I haven't gotten that. Well, I don't want to say anal because it sounds as a negative. It's not a negative. It's actually great to have all that information. I just never have done it to measure all my molds and write down what they do and how the cavities drop and all that. It's nice information to have. I just don't do it. I haven't had to go back to look at it, so I've just never had a reason to do it. But it would be nice to catalog all the molds I have because I go by memory, and as we get older, we just forget. Like I just did a Blade Friday video, which you'll see, or you probably already saw it when this video comes out, but I did it this morning, and it's gonna play tomorrow on Friday. And I think I did a knife over. I think I did a knife that I already had done and shown you all, but it was 2 knives in there, so it's going to be okay. But that's what happens as we get older. We forget things, and we get a lot on our brains and a lot going on, and I certainly have a lot on my brain. And this is something that I knew was coming, but I didn't realize that there were so many molds. And Dwayne really rocked my world today. He put a big smile on my face, and it's not something that happens very often lately. I tend to have a lot of frowns, not smiles. So God works in strange ways, and he shined on me and brightened my day today. So it was a good thing. So I'm going to do a sign out here, even though there's going to be more after this. And maybe I can fill in the rest of the video. So God bless everybody. I hope you like the rest of the video. CW out. Here's the other 2 molds that I didn't show you before because I just didn't have room to cast with that. Man, this one's still a little bit warm. This one here is 311 252. This is the little 32 caliber. So there's the mold number. Let's see if I can zoom you in, and we'll show a good close-up of the bullet. Now this bullet is just first cast, first drop, so it's probably got some problems with it, sags or whatever, maybe not filled out perfectly. Yeah, see, it's not quite fully filled out, but that's what the bullet looks like. And we'll measure it and weigh it when we get down on the bench. There's a close-up of the mold. 311 252 single cavity. And then the next one is the long-standing Lyman 9mm mold. Here is a close-up of the mold, and it's 356 402. And there is the bullet. Again, it's just dropped out of the mold, so it actually doesn't look too bad. Truncated cone for 9mm single grease groove. you go. That's all 6 molds. Let's get down to the bench and weigh them, measure them, see what we got. Okay, and these last 2 molds are the ideal 311-252, which is a little 32 ACP bullet. Supposed to be 77 grains. This is coming up 77.6, so it's actually a little bit softer. And again, you know, the pictures you just saw, there's some culls in there. There's some good wrinkles. You know, they're just, I just cast them really quick just to give you a representation of what each mold is going to drop. You know, what the mold's going to look like, the shape, the weight, stuff like that that we can check. So 77 grains, and it's that one. It's a single cavity. You've seen the molds, you know, outside at the casting pot. The other one is another ideal mold. Actually, I believe they're all ideal molds. I think every one of them was an ideal mold. Yeah, every one of them is an ideal mold. This one here I just showed you is the hollow base wad cutter. I think that's the newest mold because it came in a Lyman box. So it was an ideal mold, probably made about the time that Lyman took over Ideal stuff. The rest of these were made when Ideal was making their own. So anyway, here we go. This is the bullet that lasts till today. You can still get these. It's a 402, 356 402, and it's a 120 grain bullet. Ours comes up at 122 because the alloy that we're using is a little bit softer than the alloy that they spec'd out the mold to, which I don't know what it is. I'm assuming probably clip-on wheel weights or Lyman number 2, which are both pretty hard, as opposed to just the soft lead that we're using here. So there we go. These are great old molds. They're just beautiful. They haven't been well cared for, but they cleaned up pretty good. Now these I haven't really gone through. These last few here, they still need to be cleaned up. This one here cleaned up really good. It was looking just like those, you know, looks like a brand new mold now, and it works like a brand new mold. This one here is one that I'm really proud to have. These came in 2 versions. This is the 150 grainer. This one here is an old mold. It's been renumbered, not restruck or anything. Just it's been around so long that they've had a few different numbers for it. And this one here you can tell is pretty old because there's no grooves, there's no bleed lines, air bleed lines in that mold. And I had another one that I sent off. I believe I gave that to Mr. Pollard, who's now down in Georgia. 329, 311, 329. It was a real pointy bullet. He was really lusting after it, and I looked around for another mold, but I couldn't find one, and he wanted it so much I gave him mine. So that's the only other one I've seen that I've owned that didn't have lines in it, or didn't have a full set of lines in it. I think that one had 1 or 2. This one has none. And then this one here is a pretty old mold too. This is the one you saw pictures of. This is a 205, 35875, and this is a pretty old bullet. This was designed, and I talked a little bit about this. I was mistaken with what I quoted partially. This was designed way back, and I think it was 362 something or other were the numbers that it was, and it was designed for the 3840 Maynard and the 3840 I can't think of the manufacturer. But anyway, it was made for them, and it was a really old design bullet. It's been around for a very long time, and it got renamed as we got more 35 caliber cartridges being popular. They renamed it, hoping that it would pick up popularity in those calibers. And this is the one that Papa was asking about. This one here I've sized, and it's pretty big, so its size is good in 360. So it'll size down to 356 very easily. And we'll try that in the Legend. The rest of these are all good usable bullets. This one here is dropping pretty small. I think this is an untouched one. This one here is dropping 359. So it's not small. It's fine. But these ones here were pretty fat. These were 62. They got a lot more meat in them. And these here are the same way. They're usually running pretty fat, 361. So you can get a good sizing on those. So there we go. Another long video, but I think it's interesting, and I really appreciate all these molds. And I'll be doing a couple of neat things with these. You'll be seeing these pop up at other locations because we're going to spread the love. God bless everybody. CW out.